Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I thought it'd be really funny to go back and look at a past video where I gave some really bad advice and just try to analyze what I was thinking, why I did it, and how you can learn from it and how I can learn from it as well. And it's actually pretty fitting that, earlier today I released the meta snapshot, the update to it, and I completely missed Nick Fury for PvP. I forgot about Spider-Man 2099 in PvE. And so I decided to go into the comments. I made those changes, of course, I made those additions, but then I read through your comments, your feedback, and I posted a whole bunch of additional changes on top of that, so you can check that out. But before we get started, of course, everybody makes mistakes from time to time. It's impossible to be perfect, and I've made over 1,400 videos now. I mean, a lot of it has come recently because of making 2 videos a day, but with over 1,000 videos made, you're eventually going to get something wrong. It's basically impossible to be right all the time, and I'm someone who loves to embrace, well, I don't love to, but I like to embrace my mistakes, not only so that I can laugh about it, because sometimes they're hilarious mistakes, but also so that I can learn from it and get better at what I do. And I think if you go back and you watch my first video, where I'm talking about ABX score maximization, or actually it wasn't even ABX, it was Alliance Battle, score maximization, you'll see that there were already mistakes in the very first video, but I think we've worked on minimizing the vast majority of mistakes. And the good thing is that nowadays when I make mistakes, I can very easily fix them in a comment, in a community post, or directly in the thing that I made a mistake on, which is really nice. But the one that I want to bring to your attention now is one that I'm probably responsible for doubling back on. And the interesting thing is, I've roasted people about putting CTPs of Transcendence on characters like, Deadpool, or tier 3 this character, tier 3 that character. But once upon a time, apparently I recommended the CTP of Transcendence for Sharon Rogers, which actually blows my mind. So I wanted to just listen, I wanted to react a little bit to how awful this advice is, and then talk about what the hell was going on, because I wasn't, no one scammed me into making this video. I made it because I wanted to at the time. So let's take a look at what Cynicalex was thinking back in the day.
CTP doesn't have guard break immunity, so you're going to want to choose primarily characters who have super armor, which she does get from her fortification 4-star passive.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice is that my voice did change. Yes, I know. It's the microphone, it's the acoustics, it's a combination of things, and it's puberty, of course. Moving on, the idea of super armor, not needing super armor, or not needing guard break immunity on the obelisk or on the CTP because of super armor on her passive, only applies to PvE content. It makes no reference to PvP content. I guess at this point in time in the YouTube career for Cynicalex, I didn't really give a shit about PvP, and that's why I probably didn't even mention it at all. Let's continue listening to see what Cynicalex has to say, in addition to that.
In addition, Sharon Rogers has iframes, she has hit stun, and she has immunity with her third skill, the very popular skill that gives her 5 seconds of immunity.
Yep.
So she has ways of defending herself, and this is going to crank her damage up to 11.
Nope.
Paired with her accumulated damage, it's just going to make her a beast.
Nope.
Speaking of beasts, I think...
Wrong. So, I was wrong. Obviously, CTP of Transcendence is terrible for Sharon Rogers because, of course, she does much better with a damage proc instead of invincibility. And the all attack is okay, but she doesn't need it. The ignore defense, or the ignore dodge, is actually nice nowadays, but you're not going to use her for PvP, so it's pretty much unnecessary. And then the reflect, or the reduced reflect, is also completely unnecessary. So yes, once upon a time, I gave absolutely trash advice for the CTP of Transcendence for multiple characters. It's not just Sharon Rogers. If you continue watching this video, if you can stomach the voice, I was suggesting it on Hulk, another terrible character to use it for. But just to give a bit of reference, I think I also suggested it for Dormammu. This one also doesn't make any sense because we were using him for, well, people were using him in PvP at this time, I believe, and so he would have required or needed guard break immunity, probably something with recovery rate or max HP. Anyways, there are, for the most part, the suggestions in this video are, average to below average to just straight out bad. So I would say on average, this was a bad video. Sometimes it just happens, you make bad videos. It's impossible to be perfect 100% of the time. However, upon admitting that I've made those mistakes, I do want to do just a little bit of explanation because I think it matters the context in which I made this video. And here's where I can really learn. Because I watched this video, I was actually shown the video by a fan on Twitch chat who kept saying to me, you know, Cynicalex, once upon a time you told people to put a CTP of Transcendence on Sharon Rogers, and I heard that and I'm like, there's no fucking way I said that. That's bullshit. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. No, apparently you did, Cynicalex, and apparently I did. But let's take a little bit of a deeper dive to really explain what's going on here, because a mistake is a mistake, but understanding the context of the mistake is as important as recognizing and fixing the mistake. So just for those of you watching, I don't know why you would ever go back and watch a video this old to get advice. That's the first mistake. I update, and I should update with new information as it comes out, and you as the viewer should always watch the absolute newest video or the absolute newest version of a topic. So going back and watching old CTP videos and taking that advice is a mistake on your part. It was a mistake on my part to give this advice in the first place. But that's where we find the first issue, or the first kind of clue here. This was posted on November 8th, 2017. Yeah, that's almost 2 years ago in the game world of Marvel Future Fight, and that is miles away from where the game is now. At the time, Sharon Rogers, Hulk, and Dormammu were some of the best characters in the game. Understand that. Hulk was one of the best characters in the game. Not necessarily the best, but he was pretty close. He was up there. He had healing, he had damage, you know, he had immunity now, he had iframes. It was like, whoa, it's Hulk, it's Ragnar-Hulk. He was one of the first characters to get a 1050 uniform, which gave him an increased stat bump beyond 15% all attack and 15% all defense, or whatever, 20%, going all the way up to 25% all attack and all defense. So yeah, this was a long ass time ago. And additionally, I would say that, you know, if you look at when the update came out with these CTPs, and you can actually find it right here when I actually react to the introduction of the CTPs, and I also want to react to me talking about the CTPs for the first time because I had no idea what to expect. This was literally the patch notes introducing the CTPs. That was October 24th. So my first mistake was giving you the advice of putting a CTP of Transcendence on Sharon Rogers. My second mistake was only waiting, you know, about 2 weeks between the patch notes dropping and the actual video. Now, 2 weeks might seem like a long time nowadays, but at the time I still wasn't as knowledgeable with Marvel Future Fight as I am now, and I also wasn't knowledgeable with CTPs. It just wasn't enough time because we had never seen them before. This was the very first time they had been introduced into Marvel Future Fight. But keeping in mind that the game was also much different then than it is now. There wasn't nearly as much of an emphasis on PvP then as there was now. There wasn't nearly as many characters with crazy numbers of iframes. There wasn't anyone with iframe ignore yet, except for Cyclops, but he wasn't used very often. We didn't have very many characters with guard break, immunity, penetration like Jean Grey. So for a lot of characters, super armor did suffice for PvP in certain situations. Others did require guard break, immunity, but it's nowhere near as rampant and as hard of a requirement as it is now. Where if nowadays if you don't have guard break immunity, you cannot survive in PvP for the most part, because you're just going to get stun locked. You know, this was a time when you could still get away with it in a large way, but my second mistake was definitely releasing the video too soon before I had fully understood and fully grasped the power level of CTPs. Additionally, I kind of approached this guide originally. It's pretty hilarious. I approached it from the standpoint of view of a complete free-to-play player. I said, you know, you're never going to get more than one CTP of energy, because at the time you could only get one from the Hela Legendary battle, like from getting her uniform to Mythic. This is before the Ultimates update, so you couldn't get one from completing Chapter 13.8. And so if you go further on in the video, if you scrub ahead, I actually recommend to give your only CTP of energy to Cable. So I wasn't necessarily giving, you know, bad advice throughout the video, but I was very, very strict in my thinking, imagining that there was never going to be more than one CTP of energy per account. And again, there was the CTP chest, but I was imagining that no one was ever going to pull it and nobody was ever going to get anything good from it anyways. How wrong I was. So there's still a bit of logic and truth in this video. It's not completely, you know, mangled and garbage, but there was, you know, looking back on it, a hilarious imbalance between characters like Cable and characters like Sharon Rogers, to the point where I thought, you know, you're only going to get one CTP of energy, definitely give it to Cable. Sharon Rogers, well, you're not going to do anything with your CTP of Transcendence anyways, might as well give it to her. Oh, hell no, son. What were you smoking on that one? But this is funny as well, and I want to check this out now with you guys. This is my initial reaction to the CTPs being announced. So take a look at how I react, and take a look at what my prediction is for these CTPs and my hopes for how strong they're going to be.
And we're also getting, yes, new special gears, apparently. Celestial Tech Packs, and yeah, I don't know what to say. These have apparently new stats. They contain different stats, so I don't know if this is going to give guaranteed dodge, if this is going to give stats that we've never seen before, potentially, if it's going to add effects, like add a silence effect or add a bleed effect to your skills. We'll have to wait and see exactly what the effects are, because this is literally all Netmarble is telling us about.
True.
They can be obtained through boost point rewards. Get real. No one's going to buy boost points.
No one's going to buy boost points, he says. Hi there. I subscribe monthly to the boost point subscription. I'm a blubbery whale.
Special gear chests, which are paid for crystals, with crystals, and then hidden routes. So the first one is the best way to get them. Hidden routes, probably going to be very hard to get them from hidden routes. So this is probably a semi crystal locked type of gear. Hopefully they're not too powerful. I don't want to see massive power creep on obelisks, because as you know, for the past 2+ years we've all been rolling for obelisks, and
Cynicalex, let me tell you something. About a year and a half, almost 2 years into the future, you're wrong as hell.
Personally, I have a lot of very good obelisks with 200% damage procs and 5 seconds invincibility. Don't take that away from me, Netmarble. That is the only thing that RNG is kind to me about, so I really don't want to lose that.
And he lost it. Months later, he lost it. So, with that being said, I thought it was pretty funny to go back and look at one of my biggest mistakes, and one mistake that I made, and that I now point out to newer players that they are making. So I can't help but feel a part of that problem, and part of that mistake lies on me and is my responsibility. So just as a really important but general PSA for the future, don't watch old content. If it's more than 6 months old, if it's more than 7 months old, you should probably look for a newer version. You can hit me up on Twitter, you can go on the Discord and ask. You can just ask anybody, hey, is there a newer version of this, even if it's not a video that I've necessarily made. Always watch the newest version of content. Marvel Future Fight moves so fast, the game changes so quickly that it's just impossible for nothing to change, and it's impossible to be right for 4 years, or I guess in 3 years in a row over the course of literally 1,000+ videos. So with that being said, let me know what you think of the hilarious mistakes. Let me know if you have any other beautiful gems that you'd want me to kind of react to in terms of old content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.